Welcome, Uintah Utes, and welcome to our Hope Week extended first lesson. So all week this week we've been focusing on resiliency and recognizing each other's differences, paying compliments to each other, and mental health, and most importantly, suicide prevention. So today we are going to actually get a chance to do some recognizing of differences, and you really can't appreciate our similarities until you recognize our differences. So we're going to play a game, and I'm going to be asking some questions, and all of you who can say yes to those questions, I want you to stand up. So we'll try an example here. So if you love popcorn, stand up. If you don't love popcorn, you should be sitting down now. If you love popcorn, you should be standing up. All right, everybody sit down. Let's try another one. If you love summer, stand up. Okay, everybody sit down. If you love winter, stand up. Now everybody sit down. If you love fall, stand up. Okay, everybody sit down. Now, how about pizza? If you love pizza, stand up. Okay, now, if you would love to go to NASCAR, stand up. How many of you would love to be camping right now or hiking right now? Good. Now everybody sit down. Now, how many of you love to watch movies? How many of you have seen The Greatest Showman? And you know, this week we have been doing the greatest show of kindness all week. And this is us and this is Uintah. And today we have a really rare opportunity. You know that we all have our own unique story, and together those stories really create a work of art. And the work of art is the Uintah Utes. But you really can't see a masterpiece until you really step back and appreciate each part. And today we have a rare privilege, and we are going to learn to appreciate someone else's story today. And this really is a privilege that some of our staff members and our students have been courageous enough today to tell us their story. So this is us. This is Uintah.
Benj and Justin have just written this new song called This Is Me. And we knew that it was going to be the anthem of the film, but no one had heard it before. And no one had heard Kiala sing it live. Kiala, who I didn't even want to come out from behind the music stand.
I didn't.
I kept saying to her, just step out, because this is your moment and you have to step out into the ring, metaphorically, because that's what you're doing, and you got to stand right there in front of everyone and just belt this out.
And I didn't want to. In fact, I stood behind that music stand
Yeah.
until the day of that presentation. There was a moment in the song that I actually was so scared that I had to actually grab Hugh's hand so that I had somebody to hold on to.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away.
My message is this, that no matter what today brings and what adversity you might be facing, there is hope, and there are people that understand and people that care.
Back in my junior year of high school, I was doing really great as far as grades, attendance, and all of that. And then just one day it kind of clicked and the depression came.
I don't like telling my own personal story, but I feel like it needs to be told. Back when I was in 5th grade, we moved, and I wasn't very happy about it because I had a bunch of friends. And that's kind of where my problem started. When I moved up there, I went into this new church, this new ward, and there was one kid specifically. I was bullied pretty hard by him. He's part of that reason. I don't like telling anybody anything because of him.
I began feeling very, very depressed when I entered 8th, 9th grade. And that was really hard because mental illness was not something that was discussed in my house or in my community. So I didn't understand what I was feeling.
I was born with a deformity called hemifacial microsomia, and it's under the spectrum of Goldenhar syndrome. I was born without my right ear, and it's given me some problems with my jaw. This is what it looks like. Yeah, I can't hear sometimes, and sometimes I get self-conscious about it because I'm like, oh, it has been hard sometimes.
My story started when I was in 8th grade. I got a case of the flu. It was called influenza A. It laid me up in bed for about 2 or 3 months. I couldn't go to school. I could barely walk by myself without breaking into a cold sweat. And when that hit, it really turned my life around.
I was the girl in high school who, from a distance, appeared to have it all. But behind my smile was a lot of pain, a lot of pain and a lot of anxiety and depression that I didn't figure out until much after high school.
When I was in 8th grade at the junior high, I started to go through a lot of depression. I really started my depression in 6th grade, but I didn't really understand what was going on, and so I just kind of handled it badly.
My depression and my body image go hand in hand, and when I get really, really depressed, I like what I see less and less.
It was getting so bad. I was failing all of my classes. My attendance was going down the hole, and I just couldn't focus on anything but my depression. As my junior year kept progressing, my depression and suicidal thoughts kept getting worse and worse, and it got to the point where I actually tried taking my own life, which was a big mistake now when I look back at it.
I got some major depression. Not suicidal depression, but I got pretty upset to the point where I wanted to just leave, like move away from Vernal, leave the church. I hated it, and it was miserable.
I sort of channeled all of my self-hatred that I was feeling, and all of my sadness and my numbness. I felt like I deserved to feel pain because of this, because I didn't understand it. So I began self-harming. And this went on for a little over 4 years.
I have gone to primary children's since I was born. I go there about twice a year. I go through 10 to 15 doctors, and they're my pediatric surgeons, my plastic surgeons, my speech therapists, my psychologists. Like, I have so many different doctors that I talk to when I go out there. It was like my 8th grade year, I went to the doctor, and they were actually getting ready to plan some more surgeries for me to have to fix my ear. And one of my doctors, and his name was Dr. Yamashiro, he sat me down and was just like, listen, Megan, the whole point of these surgeries was to increase your hearing and give you an ear so you could hear and give you a more normal shot at life and whatever. And if we do this surgery, it's all going to be straight for cosmetics. It's not going to fix anything. And the reason being is because I don't have an inner ear. So if they were to go in and give me a new ear, they'd have to reconstruct my entire right side. And so he sat me down and was like, listen, it probably won't work out. And it kind of sucked at first, not gonna lie, because my entire life I'd been going to all these meetings and all these different things with different doctors from all over the place to get this fixed and have an ear. And like, I could wear sunglasses normally, I could wear earbuds, and it would be totally cool.
They diagnosed me with Lyme's disease and systemic lupus. And so my immune system and my body doesn't work together. and it was just a constant battle of whether or not I'm going to be positive or whether I'm going to let it win. There were lots of days where I felt so dark that I didn't think it was worth continuing.
I just figured that if I put on a smile and hid behind that smile, then nobody would truly have to know how badly I was hurting inside. And I thought that if I came to school and was perfect, everything would be okay. I was over the top obsessed with obtaining that perfect grade point average and appearing perfect on the outside no matter the cost.
When I was in 8th grade, that was definitely the worst because I started self-harming and I started getting very intense suicidal thoughts. I just didn't know what to do, so I told my friends all about it, but then I ended up burdening them and everything just became a huge mess. By the end of the school year, I felt completely alone. I was attempting to take my own life. I was self-harming and I was just in this very, very dark spot, and I felt like I had no one. I felt like I had no friends, and that was really rough for a while. And it's still rough to even think about this day because that's just the worst spot I've ever been in my entire life.
I struggled a lot with bulimia. It was like a downward spiral. Like I would start using that unhealthy coping mechanism, then I would feel worse about myself, and then I would do it more, and then I would feel worse. I would talk about it, and I would talk about my issues, but that was more of me just venting versus actually connecting with people.
You can write everything down if you want to. Be brave enough to write every one of your goals down. But I'm going to tell you something. Life's going to hit you in your mouth, and you got to do me a huge favor. Your why has to be greater than that knockdown. And I love it. Buster Douglas got knocked out. Nobody ever got knocked out by Mike Tyson and ever got back up. It was almost a 10 count. He was stumbling. They were 4, 3, 2, 1, and ding, 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 saved by the bell. And he goes to his corner. The whole world is like, yep, that's it. Once he comes back out, that's it. Mike's gonna just hammer him. And exactly that. Mike Tyson came out like, I got him. I got this kid up against the rope. Listen to me, many of you right now, life's got you up against the rope. You can't give up. You can't give in. Listen to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And if life's got you backed up, I need you to do what Buster Douglas did. Buster Douglas started fighting back. The world was shocked. Goliath has been knocked down. What happened? And they went to Buster Douglas and they asked Buster Douglas simply like, what happened? And Buster Douglas said, listen to me, it's real simple. Before my mother died, she told the whole world that I was going to beat Mike Tyson. And 2 days before the fight, my mother died. Buster Douglas had a decision to make. When his mother died, he could die with his mother, or he made a decision, I can wake up and I can live for mom. And he knocked Mike Tyson out simply because his why was greater than that punch. His why was greater than defeat. His why was greater than his trial and his tribulation. And I'm telling you, if you don't know what your why is and your why isn't strong, you're going to get knocked out every single day.
I am a magician in my own right, and we all are. And we have the opportunity to change our perception. And it's through constant positive dialogue that we can do that.
How I first got the help was that someone noticed my actions, and somebody noticed that, that she's not feeling okay, or, I don't want anything bad happening to her. And so they referred me to the counseling office here, and that's when it all started. I started looking at the positive things in life, like simple things just like running water or breathing and walking and being able to read. And
we can't let bullies define who we are. We got to be our own person. If you like being that geeky, nerdy kid or the quiet kid or the really just obnoxious kid, be that kid. Be yourself. Don't let somebody else change who you are and make you who you are.
I used to never tell anyone that I was struggling because I thought that it made me weak. there's so much strength in sharing your story, because if someone's struggling and they were where you were 2-3 years ago, you can drastically change their life. If someone had reached out to me and said, the way that you're feeling, it's not strange, it's normal, you know, I can help you through this, you have people who can help you through this, I don't know that I would have made the same decisions, and I think I would have helped myself a little better. Because if I hadn't told someone, if I hadn't taken that first step to do so, I wouldn't be where I am today. I might not even be here today.
So I decided to keep it. I decided to keep it the way it is, and I decided that since I was going to keep it the way it is, it would be an even better thing for me to go into the medical field and be a pediatric surgeon just like my doctor, and work at Primary Children's, so that when I do work with little kids, I can be like, hey, I literally have the same exact thing as you do. I get it, like I do. This is who you are, this is what it is. And
I still struggle with it quite a bit. It's still a daily struggle. It's still pretty hard to get out of bed sometimes because my body doesn't like to, my body's still recovering. It was going to be my choice to have a good attitude about it, and that I was going to learn from it instead of let it take me with it and let it drag me down to the depths of despair. I had too much that I needed to be here for, and I had too much that I needed to fight for.
I wish that I would have been more upfront and honest about my struggles with anxiety and with being depressed, and knowing that you don't have to do it all. You don't have to be a Wonder Woman. I wish I would have enjoyed my time in high school a lot more than I did. After high school, I did definitely sought out counseling and doctors' help. I learned quickly that you can get help and receive treatment and still appear happy, and you don't have to necessarily fake it. But I chose that happiness. I want to be happy. I want to be a person that some others can come to for help and guidance. That's kind of why I've chosen this career path. You know, learning a healthy way to smile through the bad days is a lot better than just smiling no matter what.
I took a weekend and I actually took a few days of school off and tried to think through what I was going through, because I had to accept the fact that I have depression and I was having suicidal thoughts. And that's not something that you always want to admit to yourself, because those are very, very scary things. But I ended up just taking some time off without talking to anyone, and I wasn't on social media, and just kind of thinking to myself about how if my friends wanted to help me, then I needed to accept their help.
While we're in that rut, we think, oh, no one is going through what I'm going through, or like, oh, no one really wants to hear my stance on this, or no one really cares. That couldn't be more untrue. For me, a lot of my healing came from Emma, and she was someone who I felt comfortable talking to. It's good to talk to people, and through talking to people, you will find people who have similar problems or have gone through the same thing.
I absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, know that there is a new tomorrow, and I know that there's more to life than what I am experiencing right now today.
Every time I would have a down day, or when I would think about killing myself, I would just say to myself, this will pass. This pain wasn't going to last forever. And I didn't know at the time, but a lot of people really loved me. And you always have someone that'll love you, no matter what, no matter how difficult things get. There's always someone that's gonna love you. And so
I want everyone to know that there are so many options for both treatment and for alternatives to that type of thing. Go on a walk, whatever will distract you. Do your favorite activity, sing a song, go dance in your room. Do whatever will get you out of that mind space for just 2-3 minutes. You have the Hope Squad, you have your teachers and your administration. Just everyone around you is willing to support you, and you'll never know until you reach out. Just don't be afraid to take that first step, because there's nothing wrong with trying to make yourself better and with helping yourself.
I've honestly never really looked at it as a disability. It's kind of just always been a part of me. I remember I got up in front of my whole entire class, like my teacher was talking or something, and I was like, hey, I need to tell everybody something real quick. And I stood up, and I was like, this is my year, this is what it is, and if you guys have questions, come and talk to me about it. Being open and talking about it and expressing whatever concern I've ever had about it has made it easier to deal with.
I didn't want somebody to tell me that I needed medicine or that I needed somebody that I needed to talk to, a shrink as some might say, but it really does affect how you approach life in general, and especially your struggles with depression. And as long as I've looked for it, there's always been somebody that's been willing to help me.
Even in high school, I was a people pleaser, please everybody else before myself, but I have to take care of myself. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Just take some time to make sure that I'm okay so that my needs are met, and then I can help other people a lot better.
Being called an attention seeker is one of the most hurtful things I've ever heard in my life, and especially because from my standpoint, I wasn't doing it for attention in the slightest. The thing that they don't realize is if someone's that open about what they're going through and they're that open about their thoughts, then that's not a cry for attention, that's almost a cry for help. You know, find a way to help them, because it's really hard to just come straight out and say, hey, I have depression, will you please help me through this? It's kind of dropping those hints, like, so that they can pick up on it and that you'll want to help them, because it's not something that they can just come straight out and say, and it's not something that they can do by themselves either. There's school counselors for a reason, there's a Hope Squad for a reason, there's just so many people who are there to help, and there is help, and it's not just me and my depression against the world, it's me, and yeah, my depression is there, but there's also loving arms around me to help me, so.
It's really simple to flip the script on that and turn it around. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. You just have to start by taking baby steps and saying, I'm going to do something good for myself today. And when you do that, you'll feel a little better. Then you'll want to do better things for yourself. We're our worst critics. Like, I don't look at anyone else and judge them like I judge myself. Just because you don't like yourself physically does not mean that you shouldn't like yourself. Who I am is not who I appear to be always. I'm happy with who I am, and I'm happy with how I look, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
It's so important to love yourself and to find strength in sharing your story, because you never know how much it can help someone else.
If you know of somebody, if you yourself are experiencing any negative feelings in any way, or if you're in a negative environment, please reach out and please talk to somebody.
Benj and Justin have just written this new song called This Is Me. And we knew that it was going to be the anthem of the film, but no one had heard it before. And no one had heard Kiala sing it live. Kiala, who I didn't even want to come out from behind the music stand.
I didn't.
I kept saying to her, just step out, because this is your moment and you have to step out into the ring, metaphorically, because that's what you're doing, and you got to stand right there in front of everyone and just belt this out.
And I didn't want to. In fact, I stood behind that music stand until the day of that presentation. There was a moment in the song that I actually was so scared that I had to actually grab Hugh's hand so that I had somebody to hold on to. And then we got to the end of the number, and all I remember is just deafening applause. It was a sort of otherworldly experience.
It was one of those moments that will stay with me the rest of my life. Unfortunately, we filmed it.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, gonna sing the blood, gonna drown them out. I am hurt, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come.
This is Uintah. Look out. This is who we are. And you are meant to be a Uintah Ute.